providing electric power to all of our villages, in preventing endemic disease like dengue, malaria, HIV/AIDS. Why not put all of that money in an investment in young people, in human capacity, in longer life? And that is why it is important that we meet today here in this great university, our university, Catholic University. Anyway, I am halfway through my prepared speech, and I think we can throw away some more of this. But let me announce, before I forget, that our Philippine delegation, which includes Mrs. Ming Ramos, she herself is an educator, and she also is a commander. Yeah, she's my commander-in-chief. But she has been connected as a teacher, coach, manager, counselor, registrar, and most senior faculty member of the International School of Manila, International High School, where the average of the number of nationalities per class is 35. But the majority of the foreigners are from South Korea. And so you can tell that we are all engaged in education of some sort. Even an ambassador is an educator. Even an engineer is an educator. And even a veteran is an educator. So, in that spirit, may I just announce that on behalf of our delegation, we have donated a set of books on Philippine affairs to our university, and we have already transmitted the list to Father John. And let me just show that the books pertain to this one. It talks about another ending, another beginning, published only 2 months ago. It's talking about the ending of one administration in the Philippines and the beginning of a new one. And therefore, there is hope. It's just like harvesting rice or a fruit crop, and then you plant again, a new beginning, and very soon you'll get more rice and more fruits. So that's the message here. The same as education. And we talk also about loving, protecting, and revering our environment. And this is a little picture of it, done by the hospital patients in the military hospital in our armed forces of the Philippines in Metro Manila. And inside, we see all kinds of articles and pictures about peace and development, about fighting graft and corruption, about freedom of religion and economism, and also not forgetting the lessons of the war and not forgetting our veterans. So, dear friends, there is some value here for everybody in our university. This is given free by us to public libraries and the libraries of universities, not only in the Philippines, but also around the world. Now, the other kind of product that is now included in this donation of books is a bigger book. And It's a coffee table book. 350 pages of print as well as pictures. And this is really our main message enshrined in one volume about peace and development, as I have said, together with the DVD. There's also a brochure here which says it costs so many pesos or dollars, but never mind. We will not charge Dr. Johan. Again, this is the type of thing that we must circulate around the world, just like the video of Ambassador Cruz, which he is also distributing in other countries. And we're therefore happy to share all this information to the faculty, students, alumni, and community of the Catholic University of Korea. There's a picture of me here as a second lieutenant in Korea. Guapo, no? Guapo. And also opening an electric power station. In other words, that's peace and development that must always go together. This must be our ultimate ambition, nothing else. Is there anybody who disagrees? No one. And so, dear friends, let me just quote for you the ending of my 1.5-hour speech prepared by the Embassy of the Philippines in Seoul and the faculty of the Catholic University in Korea under the leadership of Dr. Victoria Jo. Thank you again. And I'm not yet finished. I'm just thanking you. But this must be said to you. It is not just the soldiers from the Philippines that came to serve the Republic of Korea. Filipino presence in other sectors has also continued to grow. For instance, the number of students in South Korean schools and universities, such as the Catholic University of Korea, has shown a 400% rise comparing year 2005, when we had maybe 108 here, to more than 400 this year, 2010. So that's 4 times. Also, marriages between Filipino and Korean nationals have shown an upward trend. As of June 20, 2010, approximately 7,000 Filipinos or Filipinas live in South Korea with their Korean spouses. And they are not beating up each other. They are still together, happy, and with their families that are being prepared for the global community. Elsewhere, dear friends, engineers, accountants, architects, missionaries, and other Filipinos are making their marks in their respective fields. And according to government statistics, some 46,738 Filipino nationals now reside legally in South Korea. How many illegals are there? Only Ambassador Vice Cruz knows. But let me now talk about what we do believe in terms of our partnership between South Korea and the Philippines. We have always believed that South Korea has been destined for greatness. As President of the Philippines from 1992 to 1998, I envisioned for our region in East Asia, not just Southeast Asia, because we are already well organized, but Northeast Asia and Central East Asia, and all of East Asia, to be fortified as a region by a strong, dense network of mutual interests and therefore collaboration and teamwork and mutual support. Now, I think it is about to happen on a more enduring basis because we now have ASEAN, Southeast Asia, plus 1, China. ASEAN plus 2, Republic of Korea. ASEAN plus 3, Japan. Almost ready to be announced, and being negotiated is ASEAN plus 4, and that's India. And so we're starting to really embrace each other because of our common interests. And even if we were enemies before, like between Korea and Japan, like between China and Japan, and like between Japan and the Philippines, we are all together now on the basis of our membership in ASEAN as member nations or members in the ASEAN Regional Forum. It talks about politics and security, or being a free trade partner like ASEAN plus ROK, or being just a dialogue partner. And there are now 27 members within the ASEAN Dialogue Partnership, because we're talking about some future problems, maybe some security, maybe some political, maybe some economic, maybe some global issue in which we are all stakeholders. So I think it's starting to happen. And so, dear friends, let me now end by telling you a little story. You know, someone once asked me, what is the best way to pay tribute to all of those who have sacrificed their lives for us? How do we honor the departed who fought for our freedom, for our democratic way of life? How? What do we do? Is a wreath-laying ceremony okay? Of course. A religious service celebrated by Father Johan? Ah, very good. Is it a coordinated press release? Of course. Is it the awarding of a doctorate degree to Mr. Ramos? Ah, yes. But my answer to this simple question was like this. And I think this is a message for all of us, especially for the young. The best way I answered to that question was to make sure that we here now live our daily lives to the best of our ability so that the sacrifices of our departed comrades from anywhere, here or our